Everything starts with a loop. Code, effort, repetition.
Hey everyone, welcome back to day 13 of Undegreed, where I share my raw, unfiltered journey. Today was all about recursion, ridge regression, and a little crypto trading experiment. Let's dive right into it. I started my day as usual with my DSA lecture, and today's topic was recursion. We began with the basic question, what is recursion? Recursion, as the name suggests, is when something repeats itself. In programming, it means a function calling itself to solve smaller parts of the same problem. All these calls are stored in a stack. The first call goes at the bottom, and the last one exits first, just like a stack of plates. We learned this concept through examples, starting with finding the factorial of a number. There are two approaches, parameterized and functional. Both use recursion but differ in how they handle and return values. In the functional way, the result is returned directly, while in the parameterized way, we pass values to keep track of progress inside the function. Next, we reversed an array using recursion with a two-pointer approach, of one pointer at the start, one at the end. We kept swapping elements and moving the pointers inward until they met in the middle. For example, an array like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 becomes 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It was a simple but perfect way to visualize recursion in action. After the lecture, I moved on to my implementation session and opened Visual Studio Code to start practicing everything I learned. I first implemented the factorial program using both parameterized and functional recursion. The main difference between the two is that in the functional approach, the function directly returns the final value, while in the parameterized approach, we pass an extra parameter that keeps track of the result as the recursion goes deeper. Both give the same result but work slightly differently in execution. After getting the factorial code right, I moved on to reversing an array using recursion. I used the same two-pointer logic we discussed earlier, swapping the left and right elements and moving the pointers inward until they meet in the middle. Once I was done with that, I moved to my LeetCode practice session and solved two questions. The first was valid palindrome, where we had to check if a string reads the same backward and forward using recursion. To solve it, we use two pointers, one at the start and one at the end of the string, and move inward while the characters match. If any mismatch occurs, it's not a palindrome. The process continues until the left pointer crosses the right, confirming the result. After completing this, I moved on to the longest palindromic substring problem, which was more advanced. Here, we had to find the longest substring within a given string that forms a palindrome. The idea is to treat each character or pair of characters as the center and expand outward as long as both sides match, keeping track of the longest palindrome found. It was a bit challenging but helped me clearly understand how recursion and expansion can work together in string problems. You can see both of my codes getting successfully submitted and running perfectly on the LeetCode terminal with different time and space complexities. After this, it was time for my daily language practice, Spanish. Yesterday I completed day 300, and today I officially reached day 301, keeping my streak perfect for 2 weeks straight, which honestly felt like a small achievement in itself. Today's Spanish session focused on understanding verb tenses, especially how the same word can change its meaning based on the tense and context. We practice switching between past, present, and future forms. For example, aconsejamos means we advised in the past tense but we advise in the present, while aconsejaremos means we will advise in the future. Similarly, comenzamos can mean both we start and we started, depending on how it's used in a sentence. It was a really insightful session that helped me see how verbs transform naturally across preterito, present, and futuro tenses, and how crucial context is in choosing the right form. The more I practice, the more intuitive it's becoming to pick the right tense while speaking or forming sentences, and it helps a lot when I try to speak Spanish fluently. Next was my gym session, and today was push day. I started with 2 sets each of incline machine chest press and barbell bench press to target the upper and mid chest. Then I moved on to shoulders and did 2 sets each of rear delt flies and 2 sets of cable lateral raises. I didn't train front delt separately since they already get engaged during chest movements. Overall, it was a strong and efficient push day with clean form and good muscle engagement. After my gym session, it was time for my machine learning practice. I realized that before moving on to logistic regression, I needed to strengthen my understanding of regularization techniques. So today, I focused on L2 regularization, also known as ridge regression. Before diving into it, I revised the concepts of bias and variance. Bias tells us how well a model fits the training data. A model that fits every training point perfectly has low bias but high variance, meaning it performs poorly on new data. A simpler model, on the other hand, has higher bias but lower variance. The goal is to find a balance between the two so the model generalizes well. That's where ridge regression comes in. It helps reduce overfitting by adding a penalty term to the loss function that prevents the model from giving too much importance to any one feature. It modifies the normal linear regression cost function by adding a penalty equal to the square of the magnitude of the coefficients multiplied by a factor called lambda. This ensures that large weights are penalized more heavily, making the model smoother and more stable. As a result, the model avoids fitting random noise or outliers in the data and focuses on the overall pattern. The higher the lambda value, the stronger the penalty, and the simpler the model becomes. Before applying ridge, it's important to standardize the data so all features are on the same scale, for example, age in years and height in centimeters. Standardization ensures every feature contributes equally, while ridge focuses on controlling the size of the weights. In short, standardization prepares the data, and ridge regression regularizes it by keeping weights balanced and preventing any feature from dominating the model. I took detailed notes while learning this, and by the end, I had a clear understanding of how ridge regression works and how it differs from standardization. Tomorrow, I'll move on to L1 regularization, also known as lasso regression. After this, I move to my reading session. I'm currently reading 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel, and today I covered Chapter 9 and Chapter 10. Chapter 9, Foundations, explains how the earliest decisions in a startup, like choosing the right co-founders, defining ownership, and setting company values, shape everything that follows. Thiel compares a startup's base to a building's foundation. If it's weak, no later effort can fix it. He stresses that clarity, structure, and alignment in the early days determine long-term success. Chapter 10, The Mechanics of Mafia, focuses on building a strong, loyal, mission-driven team. Thiel uses the example of the PayPal Mafia, early PayPal employees who went on to create Tesla, YouTube, and LinkedIn, to show how powerful a united culture can be. He explains that great startups are built not just on products, but on tightly bonded teams who share trust, belief, and purpose. Both chapters made me realize that lasting success isn't about luck or timing but about building the right foundation and culture from day one. Next, it was time for my trading session. Since it was the weekend and the stock market was closed, I decided to practice trading in crypto instead. I don't usually trade crypto, but I wanted to stay sharp and keep my chart reading skills active. After scanning the market, I picked 3 top movers: Bitcoin Cash to US dollar, Solana, SOLA USD, and Polkadot, USD. All 3 had high volume and volatility, though the lower timeframes were messy with irregular candles and no clear structure. Still, that volatility made them great for practice. After analyzing market structure, highs, lows, and liquidity zones, my bias became clear. Bitcoin Cash and Polkadot looked weak, so I planned shorts on them, while Solana still had some upside before a reversal. I went long on Solana first, rode the move up, and booked around $500 profit on demo before it started consolidating. Later, I set up short trades on all 3, Bitcoin Cash to US dollar, Polkadot to USD, and Solana to USD, marking clean entries, stop losses, and take profit levels based on structure and liquidity. These were swing setups, so I'll check their outcomes tomorrow to see how the market moved. That wrapped up my day 13, a day full of recursion in DSA, ridge regression in ML, Spanish tenses, a solid push workout, and some weekend crypto trading. Tomorrow, I'll start with L1 regularization, review my trades, and dive into integration in DSA. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in day 14 of Undegreed.
The network awakens. Intelligence takes form. Undegreed. The signature remains.